Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're now tuned into the 411 podcast and reading between the wines, powered by the Black Diamond Consultations Network. More than a podcast, this is a sanctuary for self-discovery, healing, and personal growth. Here, we explore what it means to live debt-free, not just financially, but spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Every episode is part of a journey across our weekly mentorship series: Spiritual Sundays, Mental Mondays, Transformational Tuesdays, Wind Down Wednesdays, Coaching Sessions Thursdays, and Financial Fridays. Each day holds space for wisdom, clarity, and real conversation. So grab your journal, pour your glass, and prepare to go beyond the surface. Because here, we don't just talk, we transform. And now, here's your guide through it all: entrepreneur, mentor, and founder of Black Diamond Consultations, Laren Gaines.
What's going on? What's going on? Welcome in to the 411 podcast. I want to say thank you so much to everyone out there who was listening. If you can please do me a favor, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Most importantly, please tag a friend, share this with a friend, and invite them in, because you never know what you are going to get on a 411 podcast. You never know what breakthroughs are going to come through. And before we get this thing started, I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to everyone out there who has ever done anything for the 411 podcast, Reading Between the Wines, Black Diamond Consultations. I just want to say thank you. It has been a journey. It has been a journey, but I am so thankful that I am still here, rocking and rolling and doing what I love to do best. And I could not do it without the love and support from each and every one of you. The real love and support, the real people who are out there cheering me on, coming through, checking for me. And because of that, I am here checking for each and every one of you. This has been a journey since 2020, and it's 2025, 5 years later. I'm gonna make sure that I don't get too emotional behind this tonight, because we've been through some things, and I'm still here, and I'm thankful for it. But I feel that every single time there is, I don't want to say an attack, because I don't want to always blame the enemy, but every time that there's a test, I feel like when I get past it, I overcome, I come out the other side, I realize why I'm here doing this. So I can never get mad, and I can never get upset at what God has put his hands on and what work he has through me and through this podcast and through everybody that I connect with. I can never get upset at the process. Every single time that I come out on the other end, I'm just a little bit more stronger. And this is about protecting the mental, because we here on Mental Mondays. So this just aligns so well. But let me tell you, last week, I definitely was put through the test. So after Mental Mondays of last week, I pretty much had like a system crash, a system breakdown here, and had to go through a complete reset. I apologize, but I missed the Reading Between the Wines last week, but we definitely gonna make up for it. I had to rebuild, make sure that the infrastructure of Black Diamond Consultations is solid, so that I can continue to produce the excellent content that I promised to do since day one. So this was much needed. I knew that this day was coming, and there's a lesson behind it, that when you need to take care of business, when you have the means to take care of business, you know that something needs to be taken care of. Sometimes we need to just do it. I know I talk money here, I know I talk the financial aspect of it as being a financial coach. Sometimes when you are on your journey and you know what you're working for, you have goals. And I'm just speaking from experience, real life experience here. Sometimes we can get in the way of ourselves. And if we're supposed to take care of something, we're supposed to handle it. Thank you so much to everyone out there joining. If we're supposed to take care of something, we're supposed to handle something that's important in our lives, sometimes we ought to just do it. And when we're saving, when we're investing, when we're building our business, when we're taking care of business, we got to make sure that we put the right things in the right place and take care of things when we need to take care of it so that it doesn't backfire. So, long story short, I knew that Black Diamond Consultations needed an upgrade. I knew it. I wrote it down. I prayed on it. I put it in effect 2024, and I knew that the upgrade was supposed to happen this year. But I was like holding back, holding back. No, we don't need to spend the money on it. No, we don't need to do it then. We don't need to pull the trigger here. We don't need to pull the trigger there. But finally, God was like, okay, I see that you did what you were supposed to do. You stored up when I told you to store up, and you placed where I told you to place. But I need you to move. And since you ain't moving, then here we go. So, in any case, we're back. Black Diamond Consultations is back, bigger than ever, and I'm coming here to give you all excellent content like I promised. And again, I could not do it with all the love and support without each and every one of you out there. And I want to say thank you. But most importantly, I could not do this without my executive producer. I want to thank God for giving me another opportunity to come out here and give you the 4-1 podcast. So tonight, here we are in another month. We're in August, part of this mentorship series. This is Mental Mondays. So please, if you're out there listening, drop it in the comments. Let me know where you are listening from. Do me a favor and share this with somebody because you never know who can benefit from this. I appreciate all of the love and support and the comments and the feedback that I have received. Thank you so much to Daily Motion, everyone out there. I'm guessing that you are from overseas, over there somewhere in Europe. So I want to say thank you all so much. That is a dream come true. I have been focusing on Daily Motion for years, and now you all have arrived. And I just want to say thank you so much. It was like overnight. Had no idea that you all were out there checking the 4-1 podcast and reading between the lines. So thank you so much to Daily Motion folks out there. I also want to say thank you to everyone out there on X, formerly known as Twitter. I love the traction and the movement and the support over there. Thank you so much. And of course, my Instagram family. That's where I started back in 2020 when I only had 20 followers. Amazing, man. I just want to say thank you. Just amazing. Let's get into tonight's episode. Headspace over overdrafts. This 5 Restoration 4-1 podcast reading between the wines. This is episode 41. Now, before I get into the song of the day, I want to talk about the last episode that we focused on. We helped out Mr. Dante, 37, from Columbia, South Carolina, and he considered himself as always being the dependable one, the one that people called and reached out to whenever they needed help, whenever they needed bills to be paid, which I thought was like out there. Whenever somebody needed a ride, whenever somebody needed something, they just reach out to Dante and he got you. Anybody out there like that? That whenever somebody needs something, that they can just reach out to you and you're willing to bend over backwards and do whatever you need to do to make it work for them. But the question that I have for each and every one of you out there who signs up for this type of lifestyle is, how do you react when the feeling isn't mutual? How do you react when you need help and nobody is there to help you? So I was this person, but for a short period of time. And I was this person until exactly that. When I needed something, when people weren't there for me, then I started to second guess and ask myself, are you prepared? And my mentor had to help me with this. Are you prepared to do whatever you're going to do for this person? And now I'm going to keep it all the way real. My response wasn't always crystal clear as it is today. I had to get, I had to get with myself, and my mentor had to help me out and say, Laren, when you do something for somebody, please make sure that you do it from the heart and that you don't do it with wanting something in return. Because if you do something for somebody and you want something in return, you might as well not do it at all. That's shallow. You're operating from a lower world when you do something for somebody and you want something in return. And if they don't do and they don't reciprocate the way that you want them to reciprocate, now all of a sudden you have an attitude or you have a reason to throw it back into someone else's face saying, look what I did for you and you didn't do X, Y, and Z for me. So I had to change that up. I had to change my inner dialogue and I had to switch that thing up. And now today, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it from the heart, expecting nothing in return. And the same thing goes with if somebody does something for me. I would appreciate it. And again, sometimes we don't know because we're not inside people. Our job is not to regulate somebody else's nervous system. God has given us enough on our own plate to regulate our own. So how dare we think that we can step inside somebody else's realm and navigate and twist and turn and figure out what they got going on internally, because it's impossible. I don't mean to go in deep tonight. I know I've been away for a minute, but I just can't help myself. This is just reality, and this is just what's come over my spirit at this moment. So it is what it is. We're here, so we might as well go in. I just felt for Dante. People pleasers. And then all of a sudden, when you realize, when the stuff hits the fan, when the dust starts to settle, and you realize, what did I sign myself up for? What is this? Look in the mirror and say, who is this? Most importantly, who are you? How did you get here? And how do I get you out? And then depending on how much of a people pleaser you were, depending on what situation you signed yourself up for, depending on what issues you got yourself wrapped up and trapped up in, sometimes you can't exit just as quick as you entered. And I don't know who I'm talking to. I'm only speaking from experiences. But when I was in those situations and I realized just as quick that I stepped into it, now there might be a little quicksand. There might be a little silly putty, and now I can't back up and I can't backtrack as quick as I jumped into it. Oh, now we got an attitude now. Now we starting to feel a certain way about ourselves and the other people. You want to know how we helped out Mr. Dante? Check out that replay. The replays are available on YouTube. You can also check out the audio version where most podcasts are. So I say where most podcasts are because I'm not everywhere, and there's a reason for that. But if there is a specific platform that you watch or you listen to your podcast and you find out that Reading Between the Wines, the 411 podcast, is not available on those platforms, please go ahead and DM me. You can also text me at 609 200 1098, and you can let me know that, hey, listen, the 411 podcast, Reading Between the Wines, is not on this platform. This is my favorite platform. Is it possible for you to make an appearance over here? And I will do whatever I can do to make it work. I'm playing a waiting game on one major podcast platform. I went back and forth with them at the beginning of the year, and finally I said absolutely not. I even went so much to going to Arizona earlier this year and meeting with a podcaster, going back and forth saying, hey, listen, I'm having an issue with this specific platform. We were on the phone with this specific platform going back and forth. I'm not going to mention any names. And I pretty much just said absolutely not. Right now, this is not the moment. This might be the reason that God is saying that we don't need to go here. But, things do change in the future. So, in any case, let me know. And we could probably try to take a stab at this thing again. All right. So, y'all know what it is right now. It's the song of the day moment. And I just had to do it. I had to call on a friend of mine, which y'all know who this artist is. And it just made sense because I used to rock to this joint when I was carrying a whole bunch of baggage. But I'm so thankful that the load is much lighter and I'm not carrying any baggage today because I released all of that stuff. But I understand who my audience is, I understand where I come from. And I know that we need to continuously make content and take it there because we all heal and we all arrive at different points and different moments in our lives. So let's do this. Song of the day, Baggage by Mary J. Blige, released in 2005 off of the Breakthrough album. So sometimes we carry baggage that was never designed for us to carry. Keyword design, designer bags and all of the luxury things. Sometimes the baggage was never designed for us to carry. Some of us are stuck carrying the heavy load that our parents or even our grandparents or our great grandparents have carried. And in some cases, these bags have been dropped off, and some of them have been moved on to glory. But somehow, some way, some of us have found a way to subconsciously pick up right where they left off. Now, I'm going to go ahead and rewind that thing and say that again because I felt that deep in my soul. In some cases, these bags have been dropped off. Some of them have been even moved on to glory. But somehow, some way, some of us have subconsciously found a way to pick up right where our ancestors have left off. Now, my girl Mary speaks about having so much baggage that she doesn't even know what to do, to the tune that in some cases she appears to be confused on this record. And she says, I know I do some things that make you so confused. One minute I'm so in love, and the next I can't stand you. But if you may ask, it's just the things that you do that remind me of all of the mess that I've been through. And then she goes on to say that she has all of this baggage. Now I say, drop the bags, drop the heavy load. You can't keep carrying around the same old baggage and think that you're going to get new results. Now, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. I don't know who I'm speaking to. I'm only speaking from experience, but I know because I used to be insane in my past life. But I am in my right frame of mind today. Because when you know better, you do better. Now in Luke chapter 5, verse 37 through 39, and no man putteth new wine into old bottles. Else new wine will burst the bottles and be spilled, and the bottles shall perish. But new wine must be put into new bottles, and both are preserved. That is a reminder that we are in this moment of restoration as well as preservation. It's going to be either you or them at the end of the day. And I've had my fair share of moments of them versus me. And I had to learn the hard way that sometimes through the eyes of the enemy, it was never about me, but it was always about them. Some will make it seem or appear as that it's all about you in the beginning, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's really only about them. What they could get by gaining or attaching to your greatness. So, to everyone out there, ladies and gentlemen, know your worth, know who you are, and know what role you play in this thing called life. And be careful, because some of the baggage that we pick up, it was never designed and it was never ours to carry in the first place. Song of the day, Baggage by Mary J. Blige, released in 2005 off the Breakthrough album. Now, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend, do whatever you need to do to make this thing work. I appreciate you. So before we get into tonight's assignment, I want to let you know that you too can be a part of the mentorship series. So if you are interested in coming on live on the 4-1 podcast, Reading Between the Wines, if you want a seat at the table, please DM me or text me at 609-200-1098. Again, that number is 609-200-1098. Let me know if you'd like some more information on how you can be a part of the 4-1 podcast, Reading Between the Wines mentorship series. Also, if you have something that you'd like us to dissect, if you'd like us to go through your specific scenario, again, you can email me at info@larengaines.com, info@larengaines.com, and you may also visit the website for more information. So let's get into tonight's assignment. We have Mr. Marcus here, and Marcus is, I don't know if we actually know where Mr. Marcus is from, and that's okay. That might be a mystery, and that's okay too. So Marcus says, Yo, Laren, on paper, I look comfortable. $78,000 a year in IT support, decent health insurance, no kids, but inside my skull, it's a 24/7 group chat of panic. My father drilled into me, never talk money. So every bill feels like I'm snitching on myself. I've got $14,000 on 3 credit cards, $9,000 left on a car I don't even own anymore, and I'm hiding it all behind a smile and a fresh fade. The twist? I'm the smart one in my crew. They hit me with Cash App loans because they assume I'm paid. I never say no. Then I rage scroll on my bank app at 2 a.m. and watch my balance tap dance towards zero. My anxiety is so loud I can't think straight. Sweaty palms in staff meetings, jaw clenched like I'm grinding teeth for Bitcoin. Therapy feels like a luxury I can't afford, but my brain keeps overdrafting on negativity. I know it's ironic, right? Here's my brutal question. How do I train my mind to stop equating debt with shame so I can actually focus on paying the damn thing off? And how do I set boundaries with friends who love me when they need me? Excuse me. How do I set boundaries with friends who love me when they need something but ghost me? Okay, I don't even know how that is set up, but they ghost me with I'm tapped out texts when it's time for paybacks. To keep it unfiltered, I'm tired of motivational quotes. I need a mental reset plan that hits harder than my overdraft fees. Respect, Marcus. Well, Marcus, I'm going to go through and read this to the top, but I think we got exactly what you need here on the 4-1. So I'm going to take it to the top again. Again, thank you all so much for rocking with me. Yo, Laren, on paper, I look comfortable. $78,000 a year in IT support, decent health insurance, no kids, but inside my skull, it's a 24/7 group chat of panic. My father drilled never talk money into me, so every bill feels like I'm snitching on myself. I've got $14,000 on 3 credit cards, $19,000 left on a car I don't even flex anymore, and I'm hiding it all behind a smile and a fresh fade. The twist? I'm the smart one in my crew. They hit me with Cash App loans because they assume I'm paid. And I never say no. Then I rage scroll my bank app at 2 a.m. and watch my balance tap dance towards zero. My anxiety is so loud I can't think straight. Sweaty palms in staff meetings, jaw clenched like I'm grinding teeth for Bitcoin. Therapy feels like a luxury I can't afford, but my brain keeps overdrafting on negativity. I know it's ironic, right? Here's my brutal question. How do I train my mind to stop equating debt with shame so I can actually focus on paying the damn thing off? And how do I set boundaries with friends who love me when they need something but ghost me with I'm tapped out text when it's time for paybacks? Keep it unfiltered. I'm tired of motivational quotes. and I need a mental reset plan that hits harder than my overdraft fees. With respect, Marcus. And like I was saying, well, Marcus, I think you actually found a home here at the 411 podcast and reading between the lines. Sometimes when I go back and I listen to the replays, I have to ask myself, Laren, did we go in too hard? Were we too harsh with the response? Does it really need to be that way? And one thing that I had to tell myself is that I'm not going to dumb down myself of who I actually am. I've always been the type of person where people, say, "Oh my God, you come across so harsh, or you come across so like so Laren." I mean, that's just what it is. And I just want to say I'm just a really nice person, everybody. I just don't know how to give it just the way I give it sometimes. So, but what I wanted to not do is I didn't want to be fake during this podcast. I didn't want to come across as anything is scripted, or I just didn't want to be fake. So this is just how I come across. And some people love it, some people hate it, but the people who like it, thank you so much for sticking with me. And the ones who don't, there's no other way that I just have to be me. This is just it. And the reason why I might come across excited, or I might be a little elevated in my speech, is because I've been here before. And I have to back myself up and say, okay, I can't want this thing more than you. Even when I'm coaching people, I can't want this thing more than you. If I want it more than you, then this is not going to work. And I found myself getting very frustrated in the beginning stages of trying to coach people, because people make mistakes. We're all human. And I also found myself making lots of mistakes when I first became a manager in retail, because I wanted people to do things exactly the way I wanted them to do it. And I always bump heads with people. So in the beginning stages of coaching, I found myself falling into the same trap. But then I had to back up and tell myself, hold up, back up, back up, back up. Let's put this thing in reverse. What we're not going to do is continue to go down the paths that we went down before. And the old version of me was very not nice when it came to people not doing things the way I wanted them to do it. But as being a new person, we talked about wine, putting a new wine in the old skins. Okay. So there's a reason that we need to change. And I realized that there has been a change. And I can't want this thing more than you. So I'm not going to get upset. This is your life. You do what you want to do. I'm not here to give you any advice. I'm only here to give you my opinion. You take it, you can leave it, hate it or love it, do what you want to do with it. But in any case, so that's me. I'm going to get off my soapbox with that, but we here. So let's take it from the top here. On paper, I look comfortable. $78,000 a year in IT support. You have decent health insurance. You have no kids. And that's great. So many of us out there have great jobs. We make lots of money. But if you are not doing the right thing with your money, on paper, off paper, it don't mean a thing. And I'll repeat that again. If you are not doing the right thing with your money, on paper, off paper, it don't mean a thing. Because that job that you have today, it could be gone tomorrow. And if you didn't have a game plan set up, and if you weren't doing the right thing with your money from day one, and it's okay. Because if you're listening out there and you realize you haven't been doing the right thing with your money from day one, you can start today. If your eyes open tomorrow, you can have another opportunity to do it tomorrow. But I want to caution everybody out there to not be boastful about how much money you make, how great of a job you have, all of these materialistic things, because it could be here today and gone tomorrow at the drop of a dime. And I clearly can tell that there are some issues when it comes to doing the right thing with your money, because you pretty much admitted it that at 2 a.m. you watch your balance tap dance towards zero. Now, if you're doing the right thing with your money, that balance ain't going to tap dance to zero. Not unless it's some significant crisis going on in the country. That should not And even in that case, it still shouldn't tap dance down to zero. Thank goodness that there's no kids, because listen, if we can't even take care of ourselves, how can we take care of children? And a lot of times people make mistakes of having children before they're supposed to. And more is caught than more is taught. You don't have to tell your children how to be bad with money. They can just watch you. And I spoke about baggage, how we subconsciously pick up things from our ancestors and we start doing the same things that they do or have done. And sometimes we don't even realize it. Start thinking the same poor habits about money. Start thinking the poor, bad mental habits about everything else. And we have no idea where we picked it up from. So you say that you make all of this money, decent health insurance. That was it back in the day. Make sure you get a good job. Make sure you get a good job with benefits. Become a slave to the system. Get a good job with benefits. You really doing something once you get those benefits. I'm sorry, everybody. I don't mean to take it there tonight. I have been off for a minute, and I'm passionate about this here tonight because I've been here. And again, when we start doing what some of our ancestors do, just because Uncle Johnny worked at X, Y, and Z factory plant for 40 years and got 4 weeks vacation, never went anywhere, but got 4 weeks vacation. And anyway, y'all know where I'm going. We got to make sure we're doing the right thing with our money. I'm going to stay on track. I'm going to stay on track here. Even though he's making all this money, he's admitting that he's in 24/7 panic mentally. His internal dialogue does not match up properly with what's going on. That's a problem. A lot of people that make a lot of money are mentally going through something. Just because they got that nice car outside, just because they make all of that money, does not mean that they're doing the right thing with their money, and it doesn't mean that they're happy. Now he says, my father drilled never talk money into me. Now that's a problem. Now, like I said before, more is caught than more is taught. Sometimes you don't have to tell your children how to be poor with money. They could just watch you make some terrible mistakes. But his father actually told him, don't talk money. Don't talk bills. If she wants to bring up money, she wants to talk about it, don't talk about it. Put it on the back burner, avoid it. This is called financial avoidance. And so many of us walk around with financial avoidance. You know that there's an issue. You know that there's something that needs to be done, some sort of bill that needs to be paid, something that you're doing that is hurting you financially needs to stop. But because we don't want to put in our work, we take on something which is called financial avoidance, and we just let the bills pile up. We ignore it, thinking that all of a sudden, if we ignore it enough, it's going to go away. And it doesn't. And when we do things like that, unfortunately, we have things like $14,000 on 3 credit cards, $9,000 left on a car that you don't even drive anymore. Well, if you ain't driving it, then what's wrong with it? What's happening? Do you have it? Like, we didn't put that in there, because if you don't have it, then that's an issue. But if you do have it and you're just not driving it anymore, I don't know. That's an issue right there. And hide it all behind fake smiles. Ariana Grande has a song called Fake Smiles, and I refuse to walk around with a fake smile. I used to, but I refuse to do that today. But she pretty much says F a fake smile. And that's where we need to get to. Like, with all this going on here, all this money here, this is not cool. Over $20,000 worth of debt here. It was probably even more than that. At this moment, we need to say F a fake smile, because I'm not doing it. First thing, I'm not going to be fake smiling to myself. I'm going to get with myself and figure out some of these things and get this thing in order. And the last thing that I'm going to do is be smiling up in somebody's face, acting like I have it like that, and then going behind closed doors and falling apart. Now, this is an issue right here. The twist is that I'm the smart one in my crew. Now, I used to pride myself off of being the smartest person in the group. And if you're out there and you want to be the smartest person in the group, you feel that you are the smartest person in the group. I don't mean to say it this way, but if you stay in that group and if you stay in that scenario that way, you will be the dumbest person in your circle. We should not want to be the smartest person in our circle. And if we are, and we're looking around and we'll realize that the 5 closest people that we're around, if we are the smartest person in that 5 group circle, you need to start to do some real evaluation, because we need to be around some folk that are going to teach us something a little bit more than what we know. We can't be the person that's always pouring into others and no one is able to pour back into us and refill us. You are an average of the 5 closest people that you hang around. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Let me repeat this one more time. We are like, no, let me back this thing up and say this thing the right way. We are an average of the 5 closest people that we surround ourselves with. So I want you to think about your circle of the 5 closest people that you surround yourselves with on a daily basis. If you're around somebody who is negative, who complains, who is always sick, who is always this or who are always that, and you are picking up that energy and you're surrounding yourself by them and you're allowing them to download their negativity on you, trust and believe that you are going to output that same scenario somewhere along the path. Now, on the flip side about it, if you are with somebody who is super positive, somebody who always thinks of the best case scenario, someone who is optimistic, someone who is looking for better scenarios, someone who is always looking for an opportunity when challenge strikes, trust and believe that your mindset will begin to shift and you will start to think the same way as well. So I'll repeat that. You are only an average of the 5 closest people that you surround yourself with. So, with that information being put out there, ladies and gentlemen, it might be time for you to evaluate your circle and ask yourself, does this serve me? Does this group that I have put myself in serve my purpose and serve my plan? I'm just saying. Now, he's the smartest one in the crew, but listen, Marcus, I know you said you wanted it hard. You wanted to hit hard than your overdraft fee. So that's what we going in and we doing. I want to know if you really are the smartest one in your crew, because these people hit you up for Cash App loans and they assume you pay because you sitting here flexing, you sitting here acting like you got it like that. And are you really smart when you never can say no to them? So you just giving money away. So I don't know. With this here, that you're the smart one in your crew, I don't know about that. Because if they're able to hit you up for loans and you just outright paying them, and then whenever you need something in return, they go ghosting you with "I'm tapped out," and you okay with it, but yet you keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. We already talked about what that is. Or are you really the smartest one in your crew here? Or are they smarter than you because they getting money from you for free? And then you scroll your bank apps at 2 o'clock in the morning, stressing, watching your bank account go down to zero because you want to look a certain way. You care about what somebody thinks about you. Now I'm going to stop this right here. A lot of us go through a lot of things in life, a lot of hell. See, people talk about, oh, I don't want to go to hell. But see, sometimes hell is right here on earth, because heaven and hell is a state of mind. You ain't got to worry about going to hell, because some of us are living in hell right here and day, right here in real life situations. I know I used to live in hell, but a lot of us bring that on ourselves because of the things that we invite into our environment. And sometimes we can't tell people no. Simple thing is absolutely not. I'm not doing that. No. Now, your anxiety is so loud, you can't think straight, sweaty palms and staff meetings. Now, let's back this thing up a bit. When you can't function at work, anybody out there, I don't know who I'm speaking to, I'm only speaking from experiences, but when you cannot function at work, you bringing outside stuff into work and you can't do your job properly, man, listen. See, work for me is an escape. I have been through some terrible things in my life. I've been through some, listen, we all have. I'm not here to say that mine is worse than anybody else's, because on this 4-in-1 podcast right here on this same platform, the minute that I came out here thinking that, oh, my situation was terrible, I had somebody on the other end tell me that they have been to jail for taking somebody's life. I had that. I had somebody tell me that they have been put away for taking somebody's life and they had to ask for forgiveness from the victim's family. That was enough right there. That I don't need to ever get out here and act like my situation is the worst. We all go through things. But what I'm trying to say is that work has been my escape for a lot of years. I have been able to overcome a lot of things because I put my passion into work and I went in. Instead of sitting there dwelling about things, instead of feeling sorry for myself, I got up and I went to work. And during the most difficult situations in my life, it pushed me to push harder at work, and I shined and I excelled and I received a lot of accolades during that time frame. And it was always that, wow, whenever you went through some tragic situation, the enemy thought that they were going to keep you down. I know myself better than he does. So guess what? Listen, you ain't going to do me. And I know who I am. I know who my father is. So let's go. And I've always come out better on the other end. But Mr. Marcus here says that he can't function at work. He has sweaty palms during staff meetings, jaw clenched like grinding teeth for Bitcoin. That's bad. When you can't function at work, when you have outside situations, when the mistakes, because that's what it is, when the mistakes and the attachments that we are attached to start to affect our relationships, start to affect our work life and our work relationships, when you can't find peace in your own home, 2 a.m. scrolling, watching your bank account, probably pacing the floor, going back and forth, tossing and turning. You gotta do something about it. Now we need to pull up. This is a situation too. Therapy feels like a luxury I can't afford. Now I'm gonna back this thing up one more time. Therapy feels like a luxury I can't afford. Okay, so therapy, I don't know if we want to call it a luxury, but we need to find a way to make sure that we can afford it, because clearly there's some issues going on. And now you want to look at therapy as a luxury you can't afford, but yet you can't tell your friends no, and you keep giving them money. Well, first of all, we need to make sure that we're pouring into ourselves before we pour into others. So getting the help, getting the therapy that you need, that becomes number one priority before we decide to go ahead and give to somebody else. So I would say we got this thing backwards. How about we focus on the therapy and getting the help that we need and spending the money in the right places that we need to spend it for the ultimate result that we need to get. And then when someone asks for something, if you don't have it, the answer clearly is no. See, this is backwards. Now, I really want to go back to this thing where you said that you were the smartest one in your group, because I beg to differ. And now you says, here's my brutal question. How do I train my mind to stop equating debt with shame so I can actually focus on paying the damn thing off? Well, let me take a minute on this. We all need to train our brains to stop equating debt with shame. So if anybody out there is in debt, yes, we do have to get to a point where we start to shift this thing, and you can shift it. It's all by your internal dialogue, what you speak, what you think about yourself, your environment, your people, your friends. Your mind will begin to shift and change when you clean that up, but it's an intentional pivot. You have to want to do something different. So you have to look at your circle and you have to start to clean that up. You have to start to look at your daily habits and ask yourself the hard questions. Does this serve the direction that I'm trying to move in? And if it doesn't, you have to make the move to clean it up. Therapy is a big step. Asking somebody else, because listen, you can't see the picture when you're in a frame. That's a quote from Les Brown. You may not know what you're doing wrong. People don't know what they don't know. So maybe you might need somebody else to come in, such as a therapist, to look and see. Whether it's a financial therapist, whether it's a financial coach, you might need somebody else to look in on your situation and weigh in because maybe you don't know what you don't know. And then once we realize and we have a little help, yeah, we do need to look at our lives. We need to look at it and the shame, the guilt. We need to understand what that feels like so that once we get up out of it, we don't go back. We know what it felt like. We know how shameful it was. We know how embarrassing it was. Sometimes we need to be embarrassed so that we don't continue down this same process. But let me tell you, life, when you hit rock bottom, life will give it to you. And it'll give it to you enough where you will sit there in shame. You'll sit there in guilt. You'll sit there long enough to where you'll start to climb out and you'll realize that I never want to go back there again. And when it comes to debt-free living, when it comes to people wanting to get off of the credit cards, when it comes to people wanting to get off of the personal loans, when it comes to getting off of the bank loans and the car loans, sometimes you have to get yourself so jammed up to the fact to where you can't, you feel like you can't get out. And you might need to seek some help. And then when you get that little relief of the pressure and it's enough because maybe you sat in it enough to where you felt like the walls are going to come crashing in, you don't want to do that thing again. I remember the first time I got my credit card. I must have been 17, 18. I was still in high school. They probably shouldn't even given it to me. I don't know how it happened. And in one case scenario, the credit card had my name spelled wrong. They called me Kevin, but I still opened it and used it. And I remember having all of my credit cards laid out on the ground, on my excuse me, on my floor in my bedroom. And my mom was coming up the steps because my room was right at the top of the steps, and she saw the credit cards and she said, "You know what?" She said, "Don't get yourself into a situation where you get so jammed up with credit cards you don't know what to do." And young, I didn't know what. Yeah, I was like, "Whatever, I got this. I got all this money. I got this." And I started to get jammed up and I started to feel the walls come crashing in. But guess who I couldn't go and ask for help? Because she had already warned me from day one about it. So I knew that I couldn't do anything about that. But I think that that was the first time that I learned how to get myself out of a financial jam. What I thought back then was working the system and getting my way out, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And even though I made it work then, and I found out how to be more clever with it, it just trickled in my 20s and 30s until finally something again similar happened again in my 40s. And I was like, oh no, I never claimed to be a genius, but I lived long enough to see this. Oh, we're going to have to fix this right away. So I learned from my younger experiences of how to get out. But it becomes more difficult, ladies and gentlemen, as you get older. So you're younger in your 20s, you can bounce back quicker. 30s, you can bounce back quicker than 40s, and so forth and so on. And I realized that after getting out of debt 3 times, I had this little birdie that says, don't do it again because I don't think he gonna save you a fourth time. I'm just saying. I don't know if that is going to help Mr. Marcus or if that's going to help anybody out there. But one thing that I've learned is that you have to want to get out. You have to hit your own rock bottom. It has to get to the point where you're so disgusted at your own self that you want to cut up every single credit card. You want to tell them to come pick up the car because I don't want it anymore. You're ready to move back in with a roommate. You're ready to move back home. You're ready to do whatever you need to do to get out. And during that process, once you have to clean some things up and downgrade your life, get rid of this, get rid of that, can't go where we used to go. I know what my game plan is. I know what my goal is. Sitting in it long enough is enough to make sure that you don't go back. And then you'll learn how to manage your situation a little bit better. Now, you asked the question of how do I set boundaries with friends who love me when they need something, but ghost me with I'm tapped out text when it's time for paybacks. Now, you would only have to do that to me once before I learned my lesson. And I've already had that situation, not with money, but I had it with me personally being stranded somewhere, me ripping and running and going in here and taking people here and there. And then when I needed help, when I was stranded in Philly back in 2020, and I needed somebody to come get me, and they did the same thing. It wasn't with money, but it was with me being stranded in Philly. Oh, you only have to show me once because, like Maya Angelou says, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. And I say, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time, not the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. How many times do people have to show you before you get it? So now, if you're struggling with how do you set boundaries and stuff with people who constantly are tapping your pockets, and then when you need something in return, they're nowhere to be found. We need to go back to this thing called therapy. That's the first step. Reverse that thing. Stop giving your friends money. Give yourself money enough so that you can pay for therapy, so that you can get the healing that you need, because apparently you don't know when people are using you. So there you have it, Mr. Marcus. I gave it to you real, unfiltered, the way you wanted it. You said you didn't want any motivational quotes. You needed a mental reset plan that hits harder than your overdraft fees. My goal is never to come across harsh. I said that in the beginning. I only know how to give it to you the way that I know how to give it to you. But we're going to have to do something about this, because this is like clearly you're close to, and it could be more, $20,000 worth of debt, falling behind friends, priding yourself off of being the smartest person in your circle, when in reality, you might be the dumbest person in the circle. And I know that that sounds terrible, and I probably shouldn't give it to you that way, but your friends can continuously keep coming to you over and over and over again, asking you for money, and you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, thinking that they're going to come and be there for you. Meanwhile, you're racking up debt left and right, pacing the floor back and forth, can't operate properly at work, don't know what's going on, hiding behind fake smiles. I don't know what to say, but yeah, we're going to need to evaluate this. This clearly is a mental situation right here. Right here in Time Enough for Mental Mondays, but I don't know when it comes to what's worse. Because when the mental is not on point and you're doing some things that are out of pocket, it could cost us. It could cost us on, like, these things are all interconnected. So if we don't have our mental state together, we could be out there doing some things recklessly that is going to affect our spiritual world. It'll affect our bodies physically. And of course, as we see here tonight, it's affecting Marcus financially. Mm. If you want to chime in on tonight's assignment, let me know how you feel. Maybe you have a different take on it. Again, I never claim to be a genius. I'm not the total expert here. I'm only speaking from real life experiences. But if you want to chime in and let me know how you feel, if there's something different, you got a different take, please feel free to text me at 609 210 98. You can also DM me on any of my social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube. D Live, Twitch, Daily Motion. Again, let me know how you feel about tonight's assignment. And right now, we're going to get into burning questions. So, burning questions has evolved into something totally different. In the beginning, it was sort of like a aha, I got you moment where I sort of wanted to throw my guest off, ask him some random, weird, crazy question that in most cases it had nothing to do with the topic that we were talking about. But again, I had to evolve. The show had to evolve into something completely different. And now we're here. This is a financial podcast now. In the beginning, I had no idea that that's what I was going to do. So now the burning questions are more for a rhetorical thought process, something for you to journal, something for you to think about far long after the podcast has ended. Whatever Marcus is going through tonight, whatever the next person is going through the next night, take these burning questions and see how it matches up with your life and what you can get out of it. Or it could be a loved one or a friend or somebody that you know could benefit from this. So if you want to chime in on tonight's burning questions, again, please feel free to text me at 609-200-1098. Again, that number is 609-200-1098. That is the official 411 podcast Reading Between the Wines hotline. And here we go with burning questions. What scripts do you have for telling friends I can't spot you without torching the friendship or your peace of mind? I put friendship, but it's relationship. What scripts do you have for telling friends I can't spot you without torching the relationship or your peace of mind? So again, I want you all to think about it, especially if you are somebody who is a people pleaser like Marcus, especially if you are somebody who is hard to say no. I used to be that type of person. Laren, you want to go to this party? Knowing damn well that I didn't want to go to that party, but because I like you, because I want you to like me, because I'm in a relationship with you, or because I want to be in a relationship with you, I'm going to go to the party. And then when I'm at the party, I realize, now what the did you go here for? Because you know you don't like this. You know you don't like half the people here. Now you have yourself in this situation. And then now that's when the attitude used to come out. And then that's when the big bad wolf will come out and things will go backwards. And now what was a nice, beautiful situation, I ended up turning it into a disaster. All because I didn't know how to use the one powerful word of no. And now today, I say absolutely not. No, I'm not going there. I'm not doing that. So sometimes we need to get with ourselves. Maybe we might need to think of some scripts. Maybe we might need to rehearse things a little bit, especially if you are a people pleaser and you don't have experience with telling people no. In the beginning, it might be a little rough. It might be a little different. It might be a little challenging for you to tell somebody no, but there's nothing wrong with you telling somebody no, especially when it comes down to you protecting your peace. And that's the most important thing. So, what scripts do you have for telling friends, I can't spot you now, without torching the relationship or the peace of mind? Because peace of mind is so important for me today. I protect my peace of mind so that I don't have to give you a piece of my mind. Because back in the day, I didn't have a peace of mind. So I ran around giving everybody a piece of my mind, thinking that I had to let people know how it is. So I had to rehearse the scripts. I had to go back and forth with myself so that I didn't have to go back and forth with other people. And now I learned how to say no, absolutely not. And if you care about what somebody thinks about you more than your peace, you're going to have a problem with this. Especially if you're not doing it maliciously, you're not doing anything to hurt anybody, and you're protecting yourself, you're protecting your vitality, you're protecting your finances, you're protecting your mental health, you're protecting your spiritual. You should, and if you're doing all of those things, you should not be worried about what somebody else thinks about you after you tell them no. Now, if you're so overly concerned about what somebody else thinks or feels about you when all you're doing is protecting your peace and doing what you need to do to make sure that you can maintain and be the best version of yourself, we're going to need to work on that thing. Burning questions. What scripts do you have for telling friends I can't spot you without torching the relationship or your peace of mind? I say no is a complete sentence. It's a complete sentence, and sometimes you just need to tell people no. When I was a kid, people always wanted to like borrow certain things of mine, whether it be a toy, whether it be this or that. And I had a hard time telling them no. And while I had them, I also had a problem with sharing too. Let's just keep it real. I also had a problem with sharing some of my things because I didn't want things to be broken and stuff. And that's exactly what would happen. People would take stuff, do it, whatever they wanted to do with it. And on the inside, I'm like falling apart, falling apart because I didn't know how to say no. And that trickled into my teenage situation and, of course, my adult situation. And I escaped some pretty tough situations, and it could have ended up completely terrible. And I'll tell you all about a story of how I couldn't say no some other time. But yeah, I learned my lesson about not being able to say no, and I should have said no. Long story short, a couple people got arrested, but I was able to escape that scenario all because I couldn't say no. I didn't belong there in the first place, but I just went along with the plan. Next to you know, the police arrived and my friends are getting arrested, and I found a way to escape and get out of it. God had his hand on that situation. But my lesson going home was, see, this is exactly why you need to tell people, no, you're not going to X, Y, and Z because you know you didn't belong there in the first place. Same thing when it comes to lending money and doing things for people. Sometimes you just need to tell people absolutely not. And you know that it's wrong because you have that internal dialogue going on with you while you're doing the thing that you know full well you shouldn't be doing. That's that intuition. That's that inner voice speaking to you saying, bruh, what we doing here? We know we shouldn't be doing this. You know it. So now whatever comes out of it, sometimes I feel God be talking to me like that. Now whatever comes out of it, you know, don't be sitting there crying about it because you already know better than this. You either gonna go left or you gonna go right. Now which one you gonna do? Because you already know better. Like I said at the beginning, when you know better, you do better. 609 200 1098. That is the official 401 podcast Reading Between the Wines hotline. If you want to chime in on tonight's burning question, let me know how you feel. Tell me about some of these scripts that you have for telling your friends, nah, I can't spot you today. I can't spot you. I don't have it. 609 200 1098. Go ahead and text me and let me know how you feel. We are at the moment where we are getting out of here. And I want to say thank you so much to everybody out there for rocking with me and rolling with me. It feels so great to be back. It feels so great to be on this new new setup. This new setup, I'm really enjoying it. This is like day 2 on it, and I feel that so much good vibes and great energy is going to come from this upgrade here. And I just want to say thank you all for bearing with me. But we are here. We're live. We're rocking. We're rolling, and so many great things are coming. We have Disc 5 Restoration Part 2 coming up next month. We have some great lineups coming, so that will be posted very soon. So stay attached to all of my social media platforms. You never know when I'm going to start to release some of the special guests that will be right here, the 411 Podcast live, lights, camera, action. You'll be able to see myself and the guests right here on a platform. So that's going to be coming up in September, which is next month. Can't believe that it's going to be here right away. I'm going to be doing some winery tours, so you will be able to hang out with me, sip some wine. Of course, we talk some financial stuff, take some pictures, explore the winery and the vineyards with me. You want some more information on that? Text me at 609 210 98. Hope to see some of you out there. I'm looking forward to being with my family and my friends as we get ready to, believe it or not, we're getting ready to close this year up. I'm always thinking ahead, but we only have a few months left before it really starts. We really start to get in the thick of it. And, excuse me, had to take me a sip of water here. And as we speak about the thick of it, the holiday season is going to be here right before you know it. And last time I checked, these holidays are the same day every year. We already know they're coming, but most of us don't save for it. Most of us don't prepare for it. So I have a master class coming up soon that I'm going to be announcing that will help you navigate through this holiday season while also protecting your emergency fund. Building an emergency fund while navigating through this holiday season. How can you still buy gifts for people and still protect your assets as well during the same time? So be on the lookout for that as well. If there is anything that you heard tonight that sparked some interest in you, I know I talk a lot about debt-free living. I focus on debt-free living from the spiritual realm, from the mental, physical, and financial. I feel that they're all interconnected. I feel that there is a journey to getting to debt-free living. It doesn't happen overnight. And at Black Diamond Consultations, I have created the roadmap, starting with the spiritual, knowing who you are, understanding who you are, what your role is, what your purpose is. From there, getting into the mental realm, helping people like Marcus, getting through some of the old beliefs, old things that we have subconsciously downloaded from our parents, our grandparents, great grandparents. Some of us are doing things we don't even know why, because that's just what the family tradition has been. So we focus on reprogramming your mental, because you can unlearn, you can unsubscribe, you can unlike. You don't have to follow the same path and the same trap that has been laid out before you. Once you get those two in sync, then we add on the physical, how you show up in a world. After you've gained some clarity, after you've gained some insight from both the spiritual and the mental realm, now how do we show up in this world, in this physical realm? How do we act differently as a human being? How do we spend our money differently now that we know better? And then from there, the financial aspect kicks in, and that's where we get into the wealth building. That's where we get into building emergency funds. That's where we get into protecting ourselves from disasters, from when it rains, it pours type scenarios. If you want to find out any more information about what we do here at Black Diamond Consultations, please feel free to head on over to LarenGaines.com. If anybody wants help on becoming debt free, you can sign up for my free 15-minute consultation. Again, all of that is at LarenGaines.com. I also want to let you know that you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter, Whispers of Wisdom. Awesome, inspirational content delivered to your inbox once a month. We had a little bit of a setback, but I'm not going to call it a setback. It's just a setup. So since we went through an upgrade, the Whispers of Wisdom newsletter is probably going to be delayed about a week. So if you want to get August versions of Whispers of Wisdom newsletter, you still have time to sign up. If you don't sign up today, you may miss your opportunity, and the next opportunity may be September. So if you want to get debt-free living content delivered to your inbox, awesome, inspirational, motivational, sign up at LarenGaines.com. You can sign up today. You'll get on the list for the August delivery. That way you don't have to wait until September. Because if you're watching this replay and it's a week after, you may have missed your opportunity, which is okay. That just means that you'll get the newsletter released in September. And on that note, I want to say thank you so much to everybody out there who's been listening. Thank you so much. I even thank Twitch, whoever is out there on Twitch, even though I know that the haters come to show up sometimes, and yeah, we get that. But again, if the haters ain't out there checking for you, I've always been told that if you don't have anybody hating you, then that means you ain't doing it right. So even some of the weird type of messages that we get from different platforms, it is what it is. I used to get upset at some of these things, but now when things like that happen, when we get the trolls, when we get the spam, when we get the nonsense, when we get the weirdos, I just say, well, that must mean that we're doing something, because you're taking your time out of your busy day when you could have been doing something else to throw some shade over here. But you know what it is? It can get kind of hot over here sometimes. So when you throw the shade, it's good. So on that note, thank you so much. I appreciate you all out there for listening. And yeah, I will see you next time. Check out all of my social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, D Live, Twitch, Daily Motion. You never know what we're going to drop, when I'm going to drop, and got some nice surprises out there. Thank you all so much for checking in, and I will see you when I
4,
see you.
3, 2, 1. And that's a wrap on today's episode of the 411 podcast and Reading Between the Wines, where growth is always on the menu, and every pour reveals a little more truth. The conversation doesn't end here. Have something to say? Want to weigh in on tonight's burning questions? Text us anytime at the official 411 podcast and Reading Between the Wines hotline at 609-200-1098. Stay plugged in across all social media platforms at Gaines. We're live and in the conversation on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, D Live, Twitch, and Daily Motion. Prefer to listen on the go? The audio version is streaming on most major podcast outlets. Until we meet again, take what you've learned, sip slow, speak truth, and remember, transformation starts within. Powered by the Black Diamond Consultations Network.